Good evening. Good evening. I hope that you are all having a warm evening. I know it's a little cold outside, so I hope that you're inside, not watching me on your phone, walking somewhere, just because it is really cold inside of the building right now. I have on a jacket. The temperatures are just not my favorite numbers at the moment. But the skycast for today wasn't too bad, and I think that tomorrow is going to be pretty solid as well. Let me throw this up. There we go. We do have rain that's going to be moving in, but it's not going to move in until late. I think that most of you will probably be at home, but there is a first alert that goes into effect late tomorrow night, like 11 o'clock, and is going to linger into your Saturday as we're going to be watching for that first wave of rain to move into the region. So good evening to everybody that is joining us. I see a lot of you are on YouTube, but I know some of you are at home watching us on any one of our different streaming options here: Amazon, Fire Stick, Roku, all that good stuff. We'll dive into this forecast because it is a busy week. Not only do we have a first alert for early Saturday and for a large chunk of the morning, but another first alert for a secondary system that's going to push into the region as we head into your Tuesday. So all eyes on both of those. The first one looks to be a rainmaker with a couple of rumbles of thunder and some wind. It's going to be a little breezy. The second one looks to be the heavier producer of rain. We could see some significant output from that storm system. And, of course, there's the storm potential there that's actually a little bit higher with that event. So we'll walk you through all of that. Let's get you out of the door for tomorrow, where we're going to be noticing increasing clouds for the day, noticing that by 6 o'clock we can already start to see that advancing system pushing some moisture into portions of western Alabama. I think we're dry after sunset for a few hours, but if you are stepping out tomorrow night, 11 o'clock, that's where we really start to expect some of this moisture to start to move in from west to east, and it's going to be a pretty wet morning. If you were with us yesterday, we mentioned the potential for there to be a little bit of freezing rain in the extreme northeastern corner of the state. And that potential is still there, but the models have warmed up the atmosphere a little bit. So what we're thinking is that there's going to be a very small window in northeastern Georgia. We're talking Rabun County, Towns County, maybe even Hall at the higher elevations, for there to be a window of maybe 20, 30 minutes where there could be a little bit of freezing rain. But we expect it to be so short-lived and for the air to warm back up that it will not be a factor. It will not be enough to accumulate, so we shouldn't see any real impacts from that. But what we are going to be dealing with is rain, and that's going to be our big story heading into the start of your Saturday morning. By 7, 8 o'clock, when folks are getting up, I'm still in bed, sleep, because Saturday mornings it doesn't start until about 9:30, 10:30 for me. But if you're getting out early, expect some showers to be lingering as this system is going to be pulling away, and by around 1, 2 o'clock, we'll see things dry out. We're just going to be dealing with partly cloudy skies. Some breaks in the clouds are likely, and that's what's going to make that temperature forecast a little tricky, but we have that at least nailed down for what we're seeing now, and I'll dial into that number in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, tomorrow's going to be a cold start. Low 30s at the 7 o'clock hour. I expect us to get into the 40s by lunchtime, and despite getting to 51 for a high, the bulk of the day is going to be spent in the upper 40s. So much like today, it's going to be a layer blanket up, wear your coats. The cold is really here, and it's going to stick around. A lot of folks going to check out Raheem Devon tomorrow night, and not mad at you. If I wasn't here, I'd probably be checking it out too. Kicks off at around 9:30. Unfortunately, by the time it's over, that rain's going to already start to move in. So just be prepared for it. Have your umbrella, poncho, whatever your vice is. Don't want you just leaving the house and thinking that because it was a cold but dry day that the night's going to shape out that way. It will not. That rain moves in as that concert is ending. So if you're going to City Winery, just find a place to put your umbrella or bring your raincoat. Meanwhile, your Saturday forecast is starting off with that first alert in place for the morning, but you can see that we drop off those rain chances as we head into the late morning. By around noon, I expect us all to be dry. We'll still be dealing with some clouds here or there, but not a bad day once we get past Saturday morning. And then Sunday's mainly dry. We're watching that system because as it wraps around, I do think we could see a few spotty showers in the North Georgia mountains. I don't think that's going to really dip down into the metro, but there's your heads up. And then our eyes turns to that secondary system that I mentioned because I am watching that one. And as you can see, it's going to be building in late Monday night. So I think we're dry for the Monday commute, but By the time we get into the evening hours, like 9, 10 o'clock, those showers will start to move in, and that first alert's in place for all of your Tuesday. Heavy downpours are possible in the morning through the early afternoon, and eventually that will clear out. We'll drop the first alert as we head closer to sunset, and we'll see sunshine build in on the back end as high pressure really starts to dominate. The rainfall totals looking pretty impressive over the course of the next 5 days. Keeping in mind these totals that I'm showing you right now are from both systems combined. Whenever we try to separate the two, that first system that moves in tomorrow night into Saturday morning produces roughly a half inch to an inch widespread across the region. But this secondary system produces 1 to 2 inches widespread across the region. So that's where we're getting that 1 to 3 inches of widespread rain. Lots of us are going to be in that 2 to 3 phrase. You can see the orange and the red, that's the 2 to 3 inch output, and a lot of us are going to fall in that category. So a good soaking. As long as it doesn't come too fast, things are good. But with this secondary system, we'll have to watch for some flooding potential with that one because it does look like we could get some heavy downpours. This first one is going to be mainly a beneficial rain event, although it's going to be a little bit breezy when that system pushes through. Beneficial rain nonetheless. I don't know if you checked in with us earlier this evening. Meteorologist Patrick Pete broke down at around 5:15, I believe. He broke down our drought update, and that's something that we get updated every week, and we try to bring that to you as soon as we get that update. It's normally fresh off the press at 5, so we normally break it to you in that 5 o'clock show. And we've been mentioning how a lot of North Georgia has been under some form of drought, and for the last few weeks, because we've had these different systems that have moved through, we've actually benefited. We've picked up an inch of rain here, an inch and a half there, and that's dialed back on the areas that are in the drought. So in theory, rain is good for us. This secondary rain system could potentially cause some flooding issues. We're watching it right now. More data. We'll keep you posted on how we migrate those totals. The heavier totals right now are looking to be south and east of Atlanta, but that's really going to depend on the exact track of that low. And a shift of 15 miles means more people that are in Metro could see some slightly higher totals. So we'll stay on top of that for you. No worries. That's why you have the First Alert Weather app downloaded. Let's get you to the 7-day forecast so that you can plan ahead. And what we're seeing in the 7-day is that temperatures are going to be a little bit below average. 54 is about that number for this time of year, and we're going to be in the low 50s the next couple of days. First alert goes into effect Friday night into Saturday morning. It's going to be a little wet. By the time most of you get out into the streets, the rain is done, and the weekend's pretty dry after that. Cloudy, dreary, spotty showers Sunday in North Georgia, and then watching that next system bring rain late Monday night into Tuesday, which is prompting a first alert for Tuesday. Some rumbles of thunder likely there, and then temperatures tumble on the back end of that. We only get up to about 50 degrees for a high on Wednesday, and it's going to be breezy, so that's going to be a nasty day. And then we are partly cloudy with temps getting back close to normal by next Thursday. So, a lot of you on here, some of you may have been with us last night. The question was asked about gumbo. We gave you the beginning stages of the gumbo. We told you how to make the roux. Now I need to tell you how to make the other stuff. And it's a process, but hopefully you're taking notes. So you have the roux done. Now you have to figure out how are you going to make your stock. What is going to be your liquid base? Because those two things combine, and that gives you a lot of your flavor, the thickness of your flavor. Now, I'm a seafood man. I love my stock. And if you were a cook, you probably understand what I'm about to say. If you're not a cook, you're probably going to think that what I'm saying is weird, sounds nasty. But you have to make you some sort of stock. And I prefer to make seafood stock because I put seafood in my gumbo.
I'm gonna be honest. I like seafood, Patrick.
Okay.
I like seafood, Patrick.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about a weathercast that comes up with some seafood.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if we're gonna add this to the daily broadcast,
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, and that's how we do it in Louisiana. So do you know how to make a stock?
No.
If I told you I would give you $10.
Google.
I pay for your lunch for the rest of the week.
I could Google it.
No, off the top of your head, because you're a Southerner, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're a deep South Southerner.
From here. I'm not a cooker,
Yeah.
though. I don't cook. My dad handles all that.
Tragic.
You know what? I like the more when you was just talking about weather now.
No, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. You've come into the mix. No.
Tell the people
Hold on.
about your gumbo.
No. Okay, I got you. So, I'm gonna make a seafood stock, and it's very simple. It may sound a little gross. Jessica says seafood is for the summer. I understand you, Jessica, But us in Louisiana, we prefer seafood fresh in the summer. We just eat it by itself. We boil shrimp, we boil crabs, we boil crawfish. In the wintertime, that's whenever we like to make our stews and we like to make our gumbos, our etouffees, our creoles. Seafood is year round for us. But you can go write this note down and you can make this gumbo in the summertime if you want to. It's gonna be a little too cold, a little too warm for you, for me to do it. But to make that seafood stock, all I do is I take either some crab legs, not a whole lot because you know crab legs are pricey, but I take like a crab leg and I take a bunch of shrimp holes, you know, like the heads, the holes, the body, the shell that's outside that you peel. I peel all of that and I take all of that and I literally simmer that in water that I season a little bit. And I simmer it for like an hour because it'll take the flavors that are left inside of those shells, inside of the skull and all that other stuff, and it ends up being a nice base for your seafood. Now, if that's not your thing, you can do that with chicken as well. You can debone you some chicken and take some chicken bones and thighs and all that stuff and just boil that, slow boil that for like an hour, season it up, let it simmer, it'll thicken up, and it'll make your base, your stock base. And then you obviously use that to merge with your roux, and you get yourselves a little bit of action going on. So I'm not going to give y'all too much because y'all came here for the weather. I'm going to leave y'all with this 7-day forecast, and we're going to keep dialing into this whole gumbo situation over the course of the next couple of days. So if you join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'll give you the update on the forecast, tell you what we're tracking, tell you about our first alerts because we're going to be right on the heels of a first alert tomorrow night. We'll do this at 8. The rain starts moving in at roughly 10:30, 11 o'clock, so we have a lot to talk about. But on the back end, I'll give you a little lesson on getting that gumbo game up. We can talk about different things that you can use in it. Some things are optional. Like a guy like me, I don't like okra in mine, but if that's your fancy, handle your business. For now, I will send you guys to this 7-day. You can do your screenshots. Meteorologist Fred Campagna and myself will have an update on the latest numbers for this rain and the latest rain totals and who we think are going to get the most rain. And obviously, these temperatures are bouncing everywhere. We'll dive into that tonight on Peachtree TV at 10 and on Atlanta News First at 11. Y'all have a fantastic Thursday.